Three decades after the Kothmale Mahavali Mahasaya finally unveiled. Media spokesperson of the National Freedom Front, Mohammed Muzammil, remanded.
Petition filed at the Court of Appeal against the Governor of the Central Bank. Residents of Pallebadda staged a protest as politicians lay a third foundation stone for a bus stop.
Hello there, very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to the news at 9. We are coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight, I am Joel Outscore.
And I'm Bernadine Jai Singh. Now let's take a look at the top story. The Mahavali Mahasaya in Kothmale was bestowed to the Buddha Sasana by the President Maitripala Sirisena today.
The Mahavali Mahasaya in Kothmale was bestowed to the Buddha Sasana today, 33 years after construction commenced. The stupa was conceptualized by the late Gamini Dissanayaka to commemorate the sacrifices of people who had to give up their lands and villages for the Mahavali project. The architect of the stupa was Vidya Jyoti Dr. A.N.S. Kulasinghe. The stupa, which is located on the shore of the Kothmale reservoir, is 289 feet tall and is second in height only to the iconic Ruwanwali Saya in Anuradhapura. We are especially thankful to Minister Gamini Dissanayaka. I recall the efforts he undertook in debating this with us and getting us to agree to it. He accomplished this task. I have always maintained that I do not know if this would have been done if it had been entrusted to anyone else. Representatives of various communities including NJP Panditharatna, R.S. Cook and Sivanyanam assisted in this task. Today we have the Mahavali project. We are going to fill Hambantota with industrial zones and transform the entire western province into a new city. Kandy will be transformed into a new city. Polonnaruwa will be developed. We are building new homes in the Jaffna and in the hill country. 1 million jobs will be created. I did not imagine that we would be able to break J.R. Jayawardhane's record in my lifetime. It took 33 years. I was a little boy holding into his hand when work on this stupa commenced. Mr. President, Venerable Mahasangha, I never imagined that I would have to give leadership and great strength to make this a reality. We have heard of Tampere temples in the world, but I believe that this is the only Tampere stupa in the world. The entire stupa rests on these 32 columns. The name Gamini Dissanayaka is an immortal one. The period encompassing the tenure of 6 presidents is by no means short. We should be saddened on one hand why it took so long to complete construction work of this stupa. I personally know of the issues that were faced when attempting to complete construction of this stupa. However, as Buddhists, as citizens of this country and as a government, we are happy to vest this stupa in the Mahasangha. A special memento was presented to President Maitripala Sirisena at the occasion.
Legal experts opine that appointing an acting governor to the central bank until investigations into the incumbent governor are concluded is illegal. Civil society activists point out that the appointment of an acting governor would amount to deceiving the public once again.
Saman Ratnapriya, the co-convener of the Puravasi Balaya movement, announced last evening that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe had agreed not to reappoint the governor of the central bank until investigations are concluded. Civil society activists and trade unions had called on the Prime Minister not to reappoint the governor of the central bank until investigations into him are concluded. Meanwhile, the AntiCorruption Front and the Cafe organisation filed a petition at the Court of Appeal today seeking a writ of quo warranto preventing Arjuna Mahendran from holding the position of governor of the central bank. The petition was filed by Kirti Tennakon, advisor to the AntiCorruption Front.
මේ පෙත්සම මගෙන් කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ පුරවැසියෙක්.
The petition notes that as a Singaporean citizen who is not a citizen of Sri Lanka but is employed on a work permit, Arjun Mahendran is unable to swear the oath or affirmation under Article 165 of the Constitution. At the same time, he is a person who works with Credit Suisse, a creditor to the Sri Lankan government. So he is a person with conflicts of interest. At present, serious accusations have been levelled at him over 2 bond issuances which took place during his tenure. Considering all of this, we are attempting to secure a writ of quo warranto preventing this individual from holding the position of Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
quo warranto රිට ආඥාව ලබා ගැනීමට උත්සාහ කරන්නේ.
Senior lawyer Gominda Ayasri opines that the appointment of an acting governor instead of the incumbent governor would be illegal.
There is the rule that an acting governor cannot be appointed. There's good reason. There's no necessity for a person to be made acting because that's a temporary appointment. Governor has to be somebody who is a permanent appointment, a permanent fixture, somebody who's going to hold that place and be accountable. That is why you do away with the question of acting appointment. So it's ridiculous to say that we have to search in Singapore or any other capital to bring a person of eminence here.
It poses a very big question as to why the cabinet, some members of the cabinet, the Prime Minister at that level are defending this government official to this extent. He being an individual public servant, he is not an MP, he is not a cabinet minister, he is just another public servant appointed to that position. So why is it that the government, some of these cabinet ministers are going out of the way to offer explanations on his behalf when there are so many allegations leveled against him? So this is a question that has to be answered.
Meanwhile, appearing on the Newsline program on Newsfirst, UPFA MP Dinesh Gunawardena expressed the following views on the governor of the central bank. The sovereign power of this country is vested in the people. How is it that the governor of the central bank has strength that you do not have as a public representative to not make submissions to parliament?
He cannot do that. The governor of the central bank must be accountable to parliament because it is parliament that has powers over finances. The 19th amendment to the constitution was introduced to bring about good governance, and it deals with appointments such as the position of chief justice. Everyone must come before the constitutional council in parliament, but it has become clear that the central bank governor is able to receive his appointment without appearing before the constitutional council.
Do you believe that the position of central bank governor should be appointed via parliament at least in the future?
The consent of parliament is certainly necessary because financial powers are vested in parliament.
Arjuna Mahendran's term as governor will end in a few days. Do you believe that he will go home or will he return to the central bank?
The entire country is saying that he should go home. Even if he goes home, this must be investigated.
We have seen in previous governments instances where various commissions of inquiry were appointed to investigate officials and politicians accused of fraud and corruption. But in this case, with such a large amount of wealth at stake, no commission was appointed.
A presidential commission should be appointed. The situation is serious.
What happens if the person appointed as a replacement is much worse?
That need not happen. The person to be appointed as the new governor should possess exceptional qualities.
The AntiCorruption Front convened a media briefing today.
When allegations continue to be levelled against the governor of the central bank, the people can see that the Prime Minister is protecting him. Doesn't this raise some doubt?
Only the leader of the UNP and a handful of ministers close to the leader have come forward to protect the governor of the central bank.
The committee appointed by the Prime Minister includes persons such as Kabir Hashim, Ravi Karunanayake and Malik Samaravikrama. How can a person such as Malik Samaravikrama be appointed to such a position?
ඔය කමිටුව පත් කරේ මේ මැතිවරණය
Public representatives were appointed to this position. Just because Malik Samaravikrama served as the UNP chairman and held various positions, he is not suited to be named in such a committee. A crisis is brewing because a certain group is attempting to save this person from the bond scandal in a very subtle way.
කර වංචාවෙන් මොහුව ගලවා ගන්නට ඉතා සූක්ෂමව යම් කණ්ඩායමක් කටයුතු කිරීම හින්දා
Chandra Jayaratne has called for investigations to be conducted through a presidential commission. Why isn't this happening?
ක්‍රියාවලිය
As soon as the second bond scandal was revealed, both Chandra Jayaratne and the AntiCorruption Front called on the president to set up a proper mechanism.
ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ ප්‍රතිපාදන හිරණී සහෝදරිය කිව්වා වගේ ඉතාමත් සෙමින් සිදුවෙන්නේ.
If by some chance Arjuna Mahendran is not appointed, we are hearing rumours of a current deputy governor being in contention for the position.
මම ඉස්සලත් කිව්වා වගේ ඉතාමත් පැහැදිලි.
As I said before, there are certain officials connected to the bond issue in the treasury. One particular deputy governor is driving the process of obtaining loans. He is the same person who argued that information cannot be released to the COPE committee. He was someone who was highly criticized through COPE. To defend his statements, he attempted to bring forward arguments relating to the Attorney General's department. He even questioned the powers of the Auditor General. It is clear that an attempt is being made to appoint persons connected to the bond scandal in an acting capacity.
ක්‍රියාවලියට පත් කරගෙන වැඩ බලන තනතුරකට පත් කරගන්න කියලා.
And on to a story that made it to the headlines this evening. Mohammed Muzammil, the media spokesperson of the National Freedom Front, who was arrested this morning, has been remanded until the 4th of July.
Muzammil was arrested over an accusation of misusing public funds to the tune of 6,217,712 rupees. The NFF spokesperson was taken into custody when he arrived at the FCID this morning to provide a statement. Muzammil was presented before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court this morning and was subsequently placed in remand custody. Meanwhile, the Attorney General indicted Venerable Uduwe Dhamma Lokathera at the Colombo High Court today over charges of illegally possessing an elephant calf without a permit. The charge sheet was submitted to Uduwe Dhamma Lokathera, who vocally maintained his innocence. High Court Judge Bandula Karunaratne cautioned the monk and noted that he should refrain from making tendentious statements on the case. Once the charge sheet was submitted, the High Court ordered Dhamma Lokathera to submit 2 sureties of 10 million rupees each and 3 sureties of 6 million rupees each, which had been ordered by the Magistrates Court. The case is to be taken up again on the 4th of July.
Australian businessman Brian Shaddick says that his complaint against MP Uday Gammampilla involves fraud and corruption and is not politically motivated. Meanwhile, a group of opposition parliamentarians visited the Magazine Prison complex today to meet parliamentarian Uday Gammampilla, who is currently in remand custody.
Uday Gammampilla was remanded in connection to an incident where he is alleged to have fraudulently sold shares worth 110 million rupees from a company owned by an Australian national using a false attorney license. The parliamentarian is being held at the Colombo Magazine Prison.
The incident in question occurred over 19 years ago. There is no complaint in this regard, both locally or internationally. The police is acting in an extremely arbitrary manner.
Meanwhile, addressing a media briefing via Skype in Colombo today, Australian businessman Brian Shaddick expressed his views.
Politics have nothing to do with this case. It's all about criminals and theft and money laundering, and I only know one politician's name, and that's Uday Gammampilla. And I don't know him as a politician. I only know him as a thief and stealing people's assets and defrauding people. And it's taken 20 years to be able to get to a position where we can take him to court and present all his political argument he wants. He should be ashamed of himself as a human being because he brings the rest of Sri Lanka down.
Do not attempt to portray this as something done for political needs. Take a look at the certified copies of the court proceedings and see for yourself if this is something which is politically motivated or something involving fraud and corruption. If there's an issue about the time, it is a court issue. Do not attempt to justify this act using the time period.
A number of government ministers also commented on the issue.
මේ අරන් තියෙන්නේ කූට
He has been taken in for falsifying documents. During the previous administration, the parties involved attempted to bring this to light and show that the government cannot handle the judiciary in this manner. However, the previous administration used its influence to suppress it.
නමුත් ඒ පසුගිය රජෙන් ඒ කිසිවක් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් දේශපාලන බලය යොදා යටපත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඔය පහුගිය කාලේ හුඟක් මේ
He is someone who betrayed the government in the recent past. They do so believing that they are innocent. Just because someone betrayed the government, we don't throw them in jail. Investigations were held for several months and the arrest took place because of the investigations.
පරීක්ෂණ වල ප්‍රතිඵලයක් හැටියට තමයි මෙයව අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa had told a Japanese newspaper in a recent interview that he would cut his throat if there is evidence that he stole even $1. Deputy Minister Ranjan Ramanayake responded to this statement today.
During his recent visit to Japan, the former president had granted an interview to the Japan Times. Here is an excerpt from that interview.
They allege that I have stolen $18 billion. But if they find evidence of even $1, I will cut my throat.
End of excerpt.
The former judge said on a stage in Panura that he had sent a person whom he should have imprisoned to the palace instead. He begged forgiveness from the people. Forgiveness for what? Because Mahinda Rajapaksa, the former president, stole 82 million from tsunami relief funds. He defrauded 82 million and put it into his private account. So what former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says is true. It is not just $1, it is in the millions. In addition to that, our Lieutenant Yoshida Rajapaksa had worked as a brand ambassador while he was in the Navy. This is wrong too. He had travelled overseas on 72 occasions and had fraudulently used 236 million to establish the CSN channel. He is now on bail. Namal Rajapaksa and Shashindra Rajapaksa have embezzled billions. The act of thievery carried out by his family are coming to light one by one. It has been caught through the Panama Papers, in the island of Mauritius and in accounts of Dubai and Swiss banks. This is not an easy task. These accounts are not named. This is why they are fearlessly saying, catch me if you can.
Have the public representatives that you chose given a value to the vote that you cast? The Newsfirst Think Again campaign, a public service initiative which gives the people an opportunity to express their views on their choice of public representatives, travelled to various locations in the Anuradhapura, Matara and Kilinochchi districts today.
Think again. Is your vote working for you?
The Newsfirst Think campaign, which inquires into whether or not value has been given to the franchise that you excised, began proceedings in the Anuradhapura district today. The journey through the Anuradhapura district saw the Newsfirst team members overcoming various obstacles as they travelled through villages such as Maradan Kadavala, Labunoruwa, Pandithara Ovava, Alagollava, Navakkulama and Moragoda. These are the public responses that the Think Again campaign received when we asked the question, has your public representative honoured your vote? To my knowledge, politicians have not fulfilled their tasks. What they promise is not happening. Our destination should be Anuradhapura via the A9 road. However, we end up in Mihintale. This is the situation we face. Yet another team that was based in the Anuradhapura district travelled through the villages of Kalimbindinuava, Akkaravissa, Gomarankalla, Hatara Ella, Yakkala, Sippukandiya and Paranagama.
We are disappointed to say that the objective of our votes have not been fulfilled. Nothing good has happened to us.
A Newsfirst Think Again team that was based in the Matara district engaged with people of the Madigama, Vakada, Palana, Kumbulgama and Jailarapura villages. Electronic data gathering techniques were utilized to record the responses that were received from the public regarding whether or not the public is satisfied with the actions of their public representatives.
It's the same in these elections. If they give us water, we will vote, or else we won't.
Another team that was operating in the Matara district engaged with the people of numerous villages including Borala, Kadevatta, Galbokka, Valipitiya and Mudugamua. All roads which fall under the purview of the Valigama Pradesh Sabha are dilapidated. The public cannot use these roads anymore. Two more Think Again teams were active in the Kilinochchi district today. One such team travelled through the villages of Punagiri, Rudrapuram, Sivanagar, Ganeshapuram, Shaktipuram and Iranamadu during the course of the day. Before elections, they told that they will construct a road to go to Kilinochchi in 5 minutes, but no one has come after they won. The second team, based in the Kilinochchi district, toured areas such as Ramanathapuram, Maivapuram, Vattikachi, Kundram Vaikal, Tiruvaiaru and Parvi Panjal. Join the Think Again campaign via social media using the hashtag #ValueTheVote. Express your views on Twitter and on the Newsfirst Facebook page. Like our Facebook page, Newsfirst.lk, and follow our Twitter handle @Newsfirst.lk to keep up to date with the Think Again campaign.
Think again. Is your vote working for you?
Tensions flared today at an event held to mark the laying of the foundation stone for a bus stop in the Pallibadda town. Area residents had voiced strong opposition to this project.
The foundation stone for a new bus stop in the Pallibadda town was to be laid this morning under the auspices of the Chief Minister of the Sabaragamu province, Mahipala Herath. A tense situation arose when a group of businessmen and residents in the area protested against the project prior to the event. Residents claim that foundation stones have been laid for a new bus stop on 2 prior occasions at a different location. This is where the bus stop was to be constructed originally. 2 years ago, a location was proposed for the bus stop. Foundation stones were laid on 2 occasions. Now the Chief Minister is trying to lay another foundation stone at a separate location. This is a congested area. There are schools here and the weekly fair is also held here. It is a heavily congested area. The other end of the town is very quiet. So we asked that since they have already laid 2 foundation stones there, that is where the bus stop should be built. The residents staged demonstration in the Pallibadda town, raising black flags and lighting firecrackers. Stacks of tires had been set on fire at the location where the foundation stone for the new bus stop was to be laid. The protesters also ventured their anger towards 2 UMP councillors of the Sabaragamu Provincial Council who had arrived there to attend the event. Our correspondent noted that the Chief Minister of the Sabaragamu province did not attend the ceremony to lay the foundation stone.
The final rites of Malki Sandamili Premisari, who was murdered in the Kudalunaka area in Mahayangana, was conducted today.
9-year-old Malki Sandamili was murdered while on her way home from school on the 17th of this month. The final rites were conducted in the presence of family members and villagers who gathered in large numbers. Area residents of Kudalunaka pointed out that addiction to alcohol and narcotics has given rise to a myriad of issues in the village. The villagers urged that a proper solution be granted in this regard. This area is filled with drugs and alcohol. Those under the age of 12 do not know anything about it. But everyone else consumes drugs on a daily basis. They even consume drugs during work. Meanwhile, the 33-year-old suspect who was arrested in connection with the murder of Malki Sandamili was produced before the Mahayangana Magistrates Court today. Justice Tishani Tenebadu ordered that the suspect be further remanded until the 30th of this month. The suspect was subject to a medical test this afternoon before being brought to court today.
Venerable Gatamane Dhammikithero, the chief incumbent of the Mahamantindapiriven and chief Sanganayaka of the southern province, passed away this morning.
The Venerable Thero passed away at around 9:45 a.m. while receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo. He was 69 years old at the time of his demise. The remains of the Thero were taken from Colombo to Mathura this afternoon. The remains will be placed at the Mahamanthi in the Piruvena. Born on the 27th of May 1947 in Gatamanna, Beliyatta, Venerable Gatamanne Dhammakiti Thero was the fourth in a family of 10 children. On the 26th of December 1957, he was ordained, and thereafter in the year 1987, he was appointed as the chief incumbent of the Mahamanthi in the Piruvena. Venerable Gatamanne Dhammakiti Thero played a significant role in building the Mahamanthi in the Piruvena and the development of the Anura Vidyalaya affiliated to the Piruvena.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faiza Mustafa says that the local government elections will not be conducted until the Delimitation Appeals Committee report is finalised. Meanwhile, the leftist parties expressed their views in this regard during a joint media briefing held today.
Elections have been postponed. The tenure of the municipal and urban councils are also due to come to an end. Most of these councils are under the control of the UNP. The government is planning on extending the tenures of these councils. The local government elections need to be held as soon as possible since it is a fundamental right. I will not do my job according to the instructions issued by General Secretary of a political party. The President appointed me to take care of the country's future, not the SLFP's. Do not make the election your political platform. We have been appointed to do justice to the people. The first report was handed in 2012. 3 years later, another report was handed in. However, we cannot conduct an election without resolving the issues presented through these reports. The delimitation process is not being conducted in a manner which would support one particular political party. This process is being undertaken to ensure that the public opinion gets due representation. We cannot distort this process by rushing. It has been more than a month. I sent a letter to the Secretary to the Ministry and the Chairman of the Appeals Commission asking how many divisions there are. What are the changes that have been made? I requested for a report in this regard. I believe that they will send it this week. This is not an issue of the Elections Commission.
With that, we wrap up Prime Time News. I'm Bernadine Jai Singha.
And I'm Joel Outskun. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder that you could keep abreast of the latest and trending stories on our award-winning website, www.newsfirst.lk. Take care and good night.